Good afternoon to all teachers and welcome to the 5th series of webinars jointly organized by the English Language Teaching Center, Ministry of Education Malaysia with the English Language Standards and Quality Council, ELSQC. I am Dr. Carmina Jitkor and I'll be your moderator for today's webinar. Today's webinar will focus on the title, The Malaysian English Language Education Roadmap Beyond 2025. This webinar will reflect on the roles of ELTC, ELSQC, and the divisions in the MoE in implementing, achieving, and monitoring the progress of the aspirations in the English language education reform as stipulated in the Roadmap 2015-2025. Most importantly, this webinar aspires to discuss and deliberate on the way forward to sustain the objectives of the English language education reform transformation beyond 2025. Ladies and gentlemen, we are both honored and fortunate to have with us today a line of esteemed panel speakers, and it's my pleasure to introduce our panel speakers to the audience. Ladies and gentlemen, firstly, please welcome Professor Dr. Zuraidah Mohd Don, a familiar figure in the English language education landscape. Prof. Zu, as she is fondly addressed, has established a professional profile in the course of a career as an academic for more than 30 years. She is currently Professor in the Language Academy in the Faculty of Social Sciences and Humanities at Universiti Teknologi Malaysia. She is also the editor and the lead writer of two main language planning documents related to the CEFR. The first is the English Language Education Reform in Malaysia, the Roadmap 2015-2025. And the second is Planning in Retrospect, Implementation and Prospective Planning, the Compendium. Prof. Zu is currently the advisor and lead counsel of the ELHAM project funded by the Ministry of Higher Education, MoHE. Professor has also served as the founding chair of the Council of Language Deans, the chair of the ELSQC, the co-chair of the English Language Ecosystem Project in Higher Education, and the chair of the MUET Revision Committee. She recently received the Top 25 World Outstanding Women Listeners Award in 2021. Congratulations, Prof. Zu. Our next panelist is Professor Dr. Haja Hazita Azman, another well-known name in the English language landscape. Formerly a Professor of Applied Linguistics and Literacy Studies from the Faculty of Social Sciences and Humanities, Universiti Kebangsaan Malaysia, Prof. Hazita has served as the Dean of the Faculty of Social Sciences and Humanities, UKM, from 2015 to 2018 and 2019 to 2022. She has also been one of the panel experts in the ELSQC since 2016 and has been actively involved in developing the roadmap 2015-2025. Currently, Professor Hazita sits as the chair of the English Language Standards and Quality Council, Ministry of Education Malaysia for the 2020-2022 cycle. Moving on, ladies and gentlemen, we are pleased to welcome yet another very renowned figure in the English language fraternity and the director of the English Language Teaching Center, Ministry of Education Malaysia, Puan Farah Mardi binti Aman. Puan Farah was appointed as the director of ELTC on 1 June 2018. She has also been appointed as the Senior Regional English Language Center Governing Board member representing Malaysia to Singapore from 2018 until now. Recently, she has also been appointed as the Deputy Chair to the Governing Board. Congratulations, Puan Farah. Being a very futuristic leader, Puan Farah always strives for the dynamic projection of multidimensional initiatives and digital innovations for the growth of English language education in Malaysia. I would like to take this opportunity to thank all the panel members for joining us in this webinar to discuss the status of English language education as well as to deliberate on the way forward to sustain the development of English language education transformation plan beyond 2025. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let us begin with the status reports on the achievements of the activities in the roadmap. And for this, I would like to firstly invite Puan Farah Mardi binti Aman. Puan Farah, as the caretaker of all the English language initiatives being implemented by the MoE in MoE schools today, would you like to share with us the achievements of the MoE initiative so far? Over to you, Puan Farah.
Assalamualaikum and good afternoon to Prof. Zuraidah, Prof. Hazita and Dr. Mindy. It is truly an honor for me to share the opportunity to be on this platform with our esteemed speakers today. To everyone, thank you for joining us in this webinar entitled The Malaysian English Language Education Roadmap Beyond 2025. The English Language Teaching Centre, or ELTC, has been entrusted with a central role in driving the English Language Reform Plan. The Reform Plan involves the alignment of three main factors to international standards as stipulated in the roadmap, which are the curriculum, teaching and learning, and assessment. Let me briefly explain the status of the four factors and the alignment process. The adoption of the Common European Framework of Reference for Languages, or CEFR, in the development of the English language curriculum and assessment standards is a crucial step in aligning our English language curriculum to international standards. This alignment encapsulates aligning the English language curriculum from preschool to primary and secondary schools, post-secondary, tertiary education, and the teacher training institutes. The curriculum review for preschool, primary, and secondary started in 2016. The rollout of the revised curriculum was done in stages, beginning in 2018 for preschool, years 1 and 2, and forms 1 and 2. By the end of the year 2018 for preschool, years 1 and 2, and by 2021 marked the complete cycle of the aligned secondary school English language curriculum. The 2021 batch of our Form 5 students were the first group of students who sat for the SPM 2021 SPM English exam, which has been aligned to CEFR. The post-secondary English language curriculum framework of PSELF had recently completed its pilot run and will be rolled out next year. PSELF is developed as the continuation to further support the teaching and learning progression between secondary and tertiary education. The framework will benefit students in the matriculation colleges, Form 6 colleges, and teacher training institutes. The public higher education institutions are also on board in this alignment process of their English language curriculum to the CEFR. In short, the revised curriculum for all sectors is well underway and is being closely monitored by the English Language Standards and Quality Council, or ELSQC, the English Language Teaching Centre, or ELTC, and the relevant divisions, such as the Curriculum Development Division, or Bahagian Pembangunan Curriculum, as we know as BPK, the Educational Technology and Resources Division, or BSTP, the Exam Syndicate, or Lembaga Peperiksaan, or LP, and others. The recent abolition of the Primary School Achievement Test, or UPSR, and the Form 3 Assessment, or PT3, in the National Education System strengthens the role of school-based assessments to be implemented effectively. This move is in line with the Education Transformation Plan to move away from the exam-oriented mindset. In the revised curriculum, which is aligned to the CEFR, students' level of English language proficiency is gauged based on the can-do statements within the CEFR framework. The can-do statements describe a learner's ability to interact successfully in social situations using the target language. The roadmap outlines the aspirational targets to be achieved by preschool, primary, secondary school, post-secondary school students and teachers as shown in the slide. For tertiary education, the Malaysian University English Test, or MUET, has also been aligned to the CEFR to further ensure that students entering tertiary education are at par with international standards. The reform of curriculum also affects the delivery of the pedagogy and the selection of teaching and learning materials. BPK, together with Teacher Professionalism Division of BPG and the Teacher Education Institute Malaysia, or IPGM, are working closely to oversee the training, monitoring, and the implementation of the curriculum by the master trainers. The Educational Technology and Resources Division, or Bahagian Sumber dan Teknologi Pendidikan, BSTP, oversees the procurement of selected books and materials suitable to the revised curriculum. Other teaching learning resources, both in print and online, have also been developed over the years by various divisions of the ministry to support the implementation of the reformed curriculum. The ministry has also developed numerous teaching modules and online programs to further assist teachers to effectively implement the revised curriculum. Over to you now, Dr. Mindy.
Thank you, Puan Farah, for the very comprehensive explanation. And it is wonderful to know how the MOE has succeeded in aligning all the three main domains of curriculum, teaching and learning, as well as assessment to international standards. And these have been implemented in stages over the 3 waves of the Malaysia Education Blueprint. So teachers and friends, as we know, we are now in wave 3 of the implementation of our reform plan as in the English language roadmap. We are also approaching the end of the 10-year roadmap 2015-2025, which started in 2015. So we are at a critical point and we need to think how we should move ahead. So I would like to focus the attention to Prof. Zhu, being one of the main key figures in moving the English language education reform in Malaysia, the roadmap 2015-2025. Prof. Zhu, would you like to share with us on ways or strategies to sustain the efforts that have been taken so far in realizing the plans in the roadmap? Over to you, Prof.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mindy, and for the introduction, for kindly introducing the 3 of us. And I would like to say that I'm honored to be on the panel together with Puan Farah, my friend, of course, and Prof. Hazita, also my friend. In fact, the 3 are my friends. We've been working on this for a long, long time. And I would like to express my thanks to the 3 of you for being with us all the way till we reach our target, which is in 2025. First of all, let me congratulate the Ministry of Education, English Language Teaching Center, and English Language, of course, the LSQC, we call the ELTC, ELSQC, for their effort and commitment in seeing the CEFR aligned English language education through to implementation. That is not something that is really admirable. I can never think that when we finished the roadmap in 2016 that we are here, we have done it in the sense of implementing and what we call that building infrastructure for the next phase of the roadmap. Now, Puan Farah has reported on the implementation status and achievements thus far, which actually prepare what I call the groundwork for reaching the desired policy outcomes. And these are the first one, English language education system of international standards. That is our dream and our aspiration. Second, we hope that these will lead to students achieving the target proficiency level set for 2025. And Prof. Farah showed us what our targets are. Now, let me talk about policy implementation and reality. You can see that on my slides. Now, the infrastructure, as I said just now, the infrastructure for successful implementation is already in place. The curriculum aligned. Yeah, we adopted CEFR aligned learning material. We have aligned our assessment. All these are integrated into a coherent whole, which is very important in any policy. Coherence is the important factor in any language policy and implementation. But this does not guarantee meaningful education results for students. This is very important, it's core. But as Dr. Mindy said, how do we go on to sustain these efforts? How do you go on to still have this passion for moving forward, for making sure that the aspirations of the nation can be achieved, that our students actually improve in their learning outcomes, and as a result, the proficiency level improves as well. Second point, closing the gap between national aspirations and actual student learning in the classroom requires what I call continuing efforts. Continuing efforts, number one, to monitor policy implementation. This is very important. Number two, to address resistance to reform. Whether we like it or not, there will be some voices. That's okay, that's quite normal. Alternative voices. We welcome those alternative voices because by listening to them, we can improve the roadmap. Yeah, we can improve. Number three, and improve the capacity, to put the policy in place. We have said we have done whatever needs to be done. The infrastructure is still there. It's there, the infrastructure, wonderful. But we've got to improve our capacity to put the policy in place. Third, there must be a concerted and continuing effort to ensure that the CEFR aligned policy is ultimately translated, supported, and applied in the classroom. That's very important, in a way that actually leads to better learning outcomes, which means improving the proficiency level of our students. Now, when we talk about implementation, when we talk about trying to sustain the efforts, we need to look at this from a perspective of what I call a holistic approach to sustaining the ongoing efforts. How do we sustain this effort? These are wonderful efforts. And we thank all people involved, our teachers, our head teachers, schools, of course, ELTC, ELSQC, and people in the ministry all work together in order to realize our dream, that we have a lot more to do. So I'm looking at sustaining the efforts from a holistic approach. We need to support our people with what I call with emotional support. There must be emotional support because whatever it is, when we do something difficult, something challenging, we have to love it. We have to love it in the sense that we go on and on and on. It doesn't matter. We will just go on because we want to ensure that our children get the best education one can imagine. Number two, so that the first one is what I call inclusive stakeholder engagement, providing emotional support. Number two, support for ground level implementers, our teachers, our head teachers. These are what we call ground level implementers. We do is that we gave them what we call, this is what we call support in terms of capacity, support in terms of resources that are needed in order to continue. Yeah, we need to sustain in order for them to continue. Yeah. Third, what I call public support for policy enactment and implementation. This is what we call external support. Whatever we do, we need that support from the public. We need the public to say, yes, yes, we want to do, yes, please help us. Please help us to improve our students' proficiency. Yes, we want to have our English language education system aligned to international standards. What does it mean? How does this translate into real outcomes? Student proficiency, improvement student proficiency level, and our teachers as well. So these are the things that we need to look at, and we need to look at that really closely. And for me, whatever we do, there must be always monitoring. So we need to monitor all this. We need to have monitoring, and we need to evaluate. And we need to evaluate in order to do good. Yeah, even though we can see the shortcomings of what we have done. Of course, we are only human beings. Nothing is perfect. Yet, more importantly is we move on. We move on. MoE has moved on. Our nation has moved on. Our teachers have moved on. Of course, there are teachers still there, but we say, never mind, come with us. Come with us. We move on together. So that's why we need to always monitor and evaluate the actions taken by us to implement the policy. Now, let me just a bit, because I think I have a bit more. So when I talk about inclusive stakeholder engagement, this we need in order to sustain what we call coherent implementation. The word coherent must be there. If we implement ad hoc, it is not coherent. But fortunately for us, we do have a coherent implementation because the roadmap has the whole roadmap for implementation. Alhamdulillah, that's okay. So what we need to do, how do we help our people? Yeah, in order to create a climate for implementing SASA. I will just go quickly. Number one, systematic dialogues with our teachers. These are ground implementers, ground level, systematic dialogues to share information, feedback, and how implementation is progressing. We've been doing that. We can do more. Yeah, we have started. In fact, I know Puan Farah is very busy. Prof. Azita as well, and I was the chair. We were doing all sorts of things because we want to engage with them. Next, you need to ensure that the roles are transparent. Implementation roles are transparent to all key implementers. They must be transparent. Yeah. Teachers, what are your roles? Head teachers, what are their roles? Us, what are our roles? So we need to engage them in order to get to the root of implementation issues. We must get to the root of implementation issues more effectively. How we do that? We elicit their views. It doesn't matter whether they are not positive, but we need to elicit their views because we need to engage with them. We need to listen. And last, we need to listen to them with empathy. This is empathy because the teachers are the ones who have undertaken the real job implementing. Yeah, our teachers are wonderful. Yes, we need to listen with empathy so that we develop better relationships and win their confidence so that the implementation does not stall. Yeah, so good luck. Yeah, we need to go on. And congratulations. Thank you, Dr. Mindy.
Thank you, Prof. Zul. Indeed, I think we really hear the passion that you are trying to share with everyone in terms of English language education and beyond the roadmap. And I think one of the key factors that you have highlighted, and to all the teachers out there, we have invested, the MoE has invested in ensuring that our education stands at an international standard against all other nations. And in order for this to happen, as Prof has just pointed out, the CEFR policy that has been put in place, it has to be supported. Teachers need to help the MoE, and we need to work as one and in unity if we are to move ahead. And in terms of support, there has to be dialogues, as Prof mentioned, both at district, at teachers level, in schools, at state levels, as well as the central level in order for us to ensure that what we are doing is working, and if it is not working, how do we improve on this? So thank you, Prof. Su. Wonderful message, and to all the teachers out there, we truly hope you are with us because we want to improve ourselves. We want to improve our nation and our country towards achieving wonderful status of English language education as well as the teaching and learning of English language. So having all this in mind, I would like to turn to Prof. Hazita. Prof, to ask you, what do you think we could do as a nation to collectively move forward in ensuring the efforts that are done so far for the English language education reform are sustained and are being sustained now and even beyond 2025? So over to you, Prof. Hazita.
Thank you, Dr. Mindy. Good afternoon to all. Good afternoon, Prof. Zuraidah. I'm especially honored to be with you here today. And this makes this webinar session very, very special indeed, because the implementation of the roadmap and the writing of the roadmap itself, was you are the instrumental figure in putting it forward. And I am so heartened by the fact that you are still passionate about it. You're still driven by the objectives and aims of the roadmap. And I hope that is you as the influencer, so to speak, will be able to continue this motivation to go on. And I agree with you. The passion needs to continue. The motivation and the aim needs to continue burning in everybody's mind and heart, especially. And good afternoon to Puan Farah. Our challenges and our efforts continue. And to the question that Dr. Mindy posed, I'd just like to continue on because Puan Farah had already highlighted many of the works that have been put in, efforts by the ELSQC since its inception in 2015 up to current. We have endeavored to create platforms where we can have this inclusive dialogues, engagements that Prof. Zuraidah had referred to. And I very much agree that the ecosystem or the way we go about ensuring these changes happen through the roadmap has to have everybody's this concerted effort, in terms of doing it together, believing in the aims and believing in its the possibility of it to be realized is very important. And to date, we at the ELSQC, we have, I must say, and I must thank and congratulate the ELTC as well for having managed to put together dialogue sessions with all the relevant sectors of the Ministry of Education. We have reached out to, of course, BPK has always been involved in the thick of things. We also this year managed to engage JN, which is actually, it was enlightening for us as well, because JN is very close to the ground, and they are there as evaluators of and also observing how this curriculum, the CEFR aligned curriculum, is actually interpreted and translated by teachers, right? And how it's received by students. And of course, we have got the IPGs, and from there, we also have the post-secondary groups who are also involved. And we've also engaged with the universities, which we felt was a very significant move and very encouraging feedback from them, because they are also wanting to continue with what is being done at school level and to ensure that the roadmap itself is fulfilled up to the final target at the university or tertiary level. Of course, we also have got LPM and who are very much in the hot seat this year because of the results from SPM being the first cohort of students who sat for the CEFR aligned SPM test. So they were also engaged in our dialogue. And this inclusive, as Prof. Zuraidah had referred to, inclusive engagement, we felt that it was very important for it to be coherent. I like the term because this coherency and goes together with concerted collaboration needs to be made as a work culture now. For the roadmap to be implemented successfully, to be sustained, we need to have this kind of flow of information, flow of knowledge and sharing for things to be upscaled, and not regress. We do not want it to be regressed, and also most importantly, I think, apart from the social support, is the political will. First and foremost, the roadmap was, as pointed out by Puan Farah and Prof. Zuraidah, it was it's an institutionalized document, right? So it's nationally, it's a national target, it's a national aim and goal. So the interest, the willpower, the move, the push must remain at that level as well. That is something that we need to sustain and ensure it is not diluted or even forgotten or marginalized even, it won't be forgotten, but my fear is it will be marginalized with different interests coming on, So it is our responsibility, I think, at all levels, right from the parental level, to the teachers, to the students themselves, and all to the different divisions at the Ministry of Education to ensure that whatever effort that we put up, through the ELSQC, through ELTC's platform now, this engagement, these dialogues that we've been having with all the various sectors need to continue. It needs to be minuted, it needs to be recorded, it needs to be reported, right? And it needs to be reviewed and real action to be taken up, right? So it's very vital that this happens. Now, the other condition that I feel that is also necessary to ensure that our efforts is sustained beyond 2025 is that, again, I think Prof. Zuraidah highlighted this, the resources, the teachers themselves, to keep them passionate about this goal, to keep them in touch with the field itself. It's important. I mean, it was unfortunate in the beginning, and of course it's very understandable that the teachers' proficiency came into question. But I think majority have come to realize that the proficiency is their trade. You are an English teacher, so therefore you have to be proficient in the trade, like if you're a math teacher, you must be knowledgeable about math. So with English language, you have to be proficient in English. It has nothing to do with whether you are, with the individual or the personality, but it's about your profession. So Alhamdulillah, I feel that teachers have come to realize that there is nothing to it. That is just proving that you are trained for your profession, you are trained for the subject matter that you're supposed to be teaching. But what is of concern and the condition that needs to continue is the continual training, right? We are not native speakers of English. And, I myself, if you are out of reach of the language and you don't practice it, even your tongue becomes very stiff, to pronounce certain words. So training and exposure to the subject matter, to the language itself, should continue. With this new, there should be this revision to the ecosystem of how things should work. there should be more funds channeled through for training of the teachers, new teachers, practicing teachers, right? Even those who are going to retire, there's no harm in spending, some funds on them for them to upgrade themselves to be more disruptive, perhaps in the classroom with the new technologies, and how they can play with the language and so forth. Because I think this then will be transparent and will be translated into their teaching and also transferred to the students in terms of students' interest in the language. Yeah, so continuous training and quality training is something that needs to be focused on. And of course, besides that, it's not just proficiency; it's about knowledge about the language itself. Yeah, and I think the baseline study conducted by Cambridge before found that the knowledge about the language is also lacking amongst our teachers. Yeah, so that's something that needs to be also continued and also upscaled in terms of intensity. I'm saying this because I'm quite concerned, because where funding is in relation to funding, especially for training. For now, at the moment, I think the data that we have is there's only about 31,000 plus, teachers, option English teachers who have been trained, who have been exposed to CEFR, trained through the Pro-ELT and Pro-ELT Enhanced programs. And we have many thousands more that need to be trained, right? And so, of course, that is translated into ringgit and cents. And but it is something that the ministry should not shy from. It is something that you got to invest in. Yeah, if we are to fulfill the roadmap's aspirations. Now, the other concern is also in terms of the school level. Just now, I think Prof. Zuraidah also highlighted the need for support to be given to the teachers at the school level. Yeah, because at this phase of the implementation, the proof is in the pudding itself, and the pudding is actually in the classrooms. Yeah, but that's where it's happening. That's where it's being translated, interpreted, translated, understood, and experienced. Yeah, these changes in the curriculum, and so there needs to be very close monitoring with what's happening at school level. And where we are, like ELSQC or ELTC or the Ministry of Education itself, I think they are too far from the ground level. So who needs to be engaged at this stage of the implementation would be, of course, the district level, the district education level, the state level. Yeah, and also, of course, we have at the schools itself the expert teachers, right? We have the SSICs. We have all these groups of people who are at the ground level, who are closest to the teachers, who are there, who can support the teachers in this continuous effort. And this is very crucial, yeah, because the recent SPM results, yeah, we have seen how it's what was reported. The question whether it has achieved the targeted percentage has never been addressed, because the ministry has never stated what is their aspired cutoff percentage of B1s, yeah, at the Form 5 level, exiting at Standard 5. Exiting at Standard 5. Yeah, what should it be? So if we could show the data for the SPM, you could see there that basically for the those who have achieved B1, yeah, our target is there for Form 5. Form 5 as per aspired target of B1. in total, if you include the B2s who have reached B2 level, is only about 58.4%, yeah, in total. So that's nearly just is that satisfactory? You know, the Minister of Education has not actually said anything about this. You know, so it's timely, I think, for somebody of at the ministry level, for example, say something about this. It's important to make that statement, because if it's still not achieving the targeted level, but what is the targeted? 90% should reach B1 perhaps, right? Then it should be translated to action plan. Yeah, but that has not happened. It has just left parents querying, what does this mean? What do the results mean? Right? What does it mean getting B1, getting B2, getting C1? So this communication needs to be provided. It needs to be translated into a meaningful statements so that action plans could be set up, reforms or further remediation or further action could be developed and so forth. But thus far, I think the conversations with LPM has also been, not been forthcoming, because it has to go higher. Yeah, it has to go higher. So I implore the Ministry of Education to the higher levels of Ministry of Education, because I think the teachers have done their part. So now it's for them to say to us, at 58% of achievement, which is those getting B1 and above, right? Is that satisfactory after we've implemented this once, yeah? Or do we wait until 3 years from now to look at the overall results to say, okay, whatever been put in place has worked, yeah? Or should it already be made clear now? Since it's only 37% at B1, we should get worried, right? So there should be the next plan be put in place would be what? Should there be more teachers be trained? Should there be more, more activities at the school level and so forth? So things like that. How we need to interpret these performance results now. And it has to be communicated clearly to the public. And of course, the next phase, of the, as I mentioned just now, at the higher level, it's already, we've got many activities going on. We've got a lot of collaborations and talks and dialogues going on. But at the school level, at the school level itself, the monitoring needs to be done at a more, or rather engineered, at a more structured manner. Who will do the monitoring? Who will be made responsible to monitor at the school level? Based on the results, we can of course gauge success factor, the success of successful efforts, for example, by the state level or district level, through, just arbitrary through the results of the students' SPM results. But of course, there could be other ways of measuring these efforts. But at the moment now, I feel that there is still not enough management or monitoring at the ground level where all this is happening. So the feedback from the ground level needs to reach to the higher level and needs to be interpreted so that the cycle of action can reach back down and the support be given. As highlighted by Prof. Zuraidah just now, the empathy for what's happening at the school level for the teachers is crucial. Right? Because we don't want teachers to be burnt out. We don't want teachers to feel like they are left alone to do this. To have a community of teachers doing this together could be created at the state level or even the district level. Right? All these kind of platforms should be created, or whereby there is more talks at that ground level. We are talking at the higher level, but whether it reaches down to the teachers, that's very important. Reaches down to the network of schools That's important. So the structure must be now focused on this coherent system and collaboration and cohesive networking should be now be more focused on at the level of the state and the district and the schools. Yeah, because then that will sustain the efforts to beyond 2025. I feel. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Hazita. And I think what we really need to take away from this is the belief that we have in our goals. And this belief has to be built together at all levels of the education fraternity. We need to shift the equation towards the states, the districts, the school leaders, and to ensure that teachers receive enough training and that there is a good and effective monitoring and evaluation taking place at all levels. And at this point in time, the Ministry of Education is highly committed, and lots and lots of engagements and dialogues are already being done and implemented at district levels with teachers, where we have our top management going down from state to state, engaging teachers and asking them about their take and their understandings of the CEFR and the roadmap goal, and to bring the teachers together as one in a concerted effort for us to raise the standards of English language education in Malaysia. And at the same time, the SPM 2021 English language paper that has been aligned, which was recently set, the first batch of students, and deep analysis is now being done for us to understand what is the take-off value of students and where we are heading to. So in that sense, great efforts are being put in place, and as Farah mentioned, lots and lots of training is already in the pipeline and is also already being conducted, and there's more to come. And as Prof. Hazita mentioned just now, I think the wheel needs to be coherent. The wheel of education that involves every stakeholder needs to be coherent, and I think these efforts are now all being put in place, and we are hoping that with us, the teachers will also believe in KPM's commitment in all that we are doing in order to raise the standards of English language in Malaysian schools and also generally of the nation. So thank you very much, Prof. Hazita, for sharing the wonderful views. And because you mentioned something on English language proficiency, so I would like to turn to Prof. Zhu for now. Prof. Zhu, if I may, the objectives of the roadmap, among others, is to increase and to improve on the standards of English proficiency, both among students as well as teachers in the country. So, Prof, how do you think we can achieve this as a nation and also effectively?
Thank you, Dr. Mindy, and thank you, Prof. Hazita. Yes, I did have a look at what Prof. Hazita showed about the SPM results. Yes, it is also good to see that there are a few students, low percentage, but a few students who did manage to get C1. I think that's positive. Yes. And there are a few B2, that's quite positive. And so I think when I added it was 60%, yeah. So what Prof. Zeta said is true, in that we have to see the reality of it. So 60% may be good, we don't know. Do you see what I mean? Because we are moving towards, this is the first time when you have the assessment. We are moving towards where we need to set, perhaps this is when, ELSQC and ELTC may want to set your 2025 target. There's no way we can get 100%. There's no way, yeah. But perhaps when you see now 60%, yeah, Farah is 60% now. So in 2025, what will our students achieve? So 60%, so provides that call our attention that is very important indeed. We have achieved 60%, about 60%. My mathematics club, plus minus. Okay, and yeah, because I'm talking about proficiency as well. And very importantly, we do have people below that. Okay, below that. Yeah, maybe around 40%. This is very important for us. Yeah, because we need to help the students, move them up. Yeah, how do you do that? Okay, so our efforts, we need to go on believing in ourselves, believing that our students can be helped, yeah, and have a truly transparent, communication with our teachers. Yeah, because our teachers are the ones, when people talk about implementation, they always mention, if the teachers are not bought in, you don't have a buy-in for teachers, there's no way we can achieve our goal. There's no way. So, which means that yes, teachers, we are listening. So you all have started the listening, yeah. So we need to get our teachers on board, and the head teachers as well on board. Everybody on board, the state, the district, everybody, because this is our children. This is our country. Yeah. So we need to sit together. Whatever little dissatisfactions or alternative voices are out there. Please bring your alternative voices and let us talk, because our aim is the same. Our aim is the same. All of us, we want to make sure that our children get the best education. We want to make sure that our education system, like Prof. Hazita said, and Prof. Puan Farah said, our education system is of the standard, we say international standards, that ensure that each and every one of our students has gone through the education system will somehow achieve the aim that we want them to achieve. But there's no way we can achieve 100%, but we can achieve a lot if we do more than what we have done. So this is our first move. Our second move, this is second wave, and we're going to third wave, and so on. Okay, let me talk about, I'm supposed to continue with proficiency. Now, to move from adoption, implementation of a new CEFR aligned policy to the actual improvement in students and teachers' English proficiency, as what Prof. Hazita said, is very challenging. It is challenging, it is complex, it is a lengthy process. Yeah. We put 10 years. That is not enough. But that is what we set, the first stage. That's why you like ELTC said, even ELSQC from Prof. Hazita, we need to go beyond 2025. That's quite normal. That's quite normal. And we look back to see what we have done, what we have not done. Yeah. Okay, so we need to do that. Now, I look at this as a 3-stage process. The first process is review performance. We look, yes, we have reviewed the performance. 60% get B1 and above. About 40%, in our first SPM. That's okay. We look at it. Yes, we need to do more. Yeah. So now you all have 2025 target. You have 2 years, 2 years for us to move up from there. Okay. So that's good. That's now we know the reality. That's good. Yeah. I always say we need to know and that is the reality. Now, what do we need to do in order to ensure improvement? This is our next question. We have achieved this, whatever we look at it, however we look at it, we have achieved that, about 60%. Now, what is needed in order for us to improve? We need to go on. Prof. Hazita said we need to go to the root. We need to look at the school, go to the classroom, look at what happened there. Yes, I agree. We need to go to the school. We need to go to the classroom and talk to teachers, because it is there where things happen. Okay, so I don't know whether you have enough people to do that, but we hope that we can. We need to include other people to help us as well. Okay, these are what we call, who are the people, you need to identify roles. Those people who are given certain roles to do all sorts of things at different levels. And in fact, more importantly, in the classroom. Yeah, you have to have people doing that as well. And report the truth of what's happening in the classroom. Then we need to document. Is it one thing that I learned through my own mistakes? Yeah, we need to look back, we need to be critical, and we need to document. So we have documented, when our second book, the one on which was mentioned just now, the companion, we did document, but we documented the infrastructure. Before you can have a house, you have to have infrastructure. Infrastructure is very important. No infrastructure, don't talk. You don't need to talk because we have nothing. The infrastructure is a coherent part of our whole policy and policy implementation. But along the way, when we implement, there are, of course, challenges. Many things we haven't done. Look back. Yeah, look back. All of us look back and say, okay, now how we go on. So this is very important for us to document the lessons learned. Whatever lesson we learn, look at our textbook, look at our teachers, the command of English, and so on. Look at our students, so on. But when we move there, we cannot move, we must move there not in terms of to blame people. I don't think we should do that, all of us. Because I think all of you have done a lot of work. But we move there, Professor showed us to go to the club in order to improve. That's what we want. It's a positive move. So our teachers need to know it is a positive. We are supporting them. Yeah, but we want them to tell us what else they need in order to continue doing good work. Yeah, and ELSQC have done so much good work, and so ELTC, all of us have done. But we need to, again, as I said, identify areas for improvement. Okay, so that's what I'm going to talk about now, the improving students' English proficiency. This is not easy, yeah? We're not talking about subject matter. Language is a lifetime process. I remember when I was at school, people call me the person with the worst English in the classroom. Yes. Yep, that was years ago. Yeah. So very important when we talk about improving English students, our students' English proficiency is the learning environment. A learning environment which is supportive. A learning environment that says, it's okay if you make mistakes. You go on speaking English, it's okay if you make mistakes. By making mistakes, we learn. And this is a positive environment, where learning is student-centered. Where teachers, when we say facilitate, doesn't mean we leave our students on their own. No, of course we facilitate. But teachers support the learning. The community supports the learning. The whole school supports the learning by being very positive and say it's okay. It's okay for us not to pass the first time. It's okay. More importantly is you learn something from your failure. That is what we need, what I call the growth mindset. Every single one of us, you only see our success, but did you see our journey? No one knows about our journey, because only we know our journey. So these students who are now what we call, who have not yet achieved the target level, it's okay. But we need to help them. We need to help them. So that's a learning environment. Yeah, learning environment. Remember, CEFR has no failure. CEFR is not about failure. CEFR is about can do. A1 can do something, A2 can do something. B1 can do something, B2, but they can do different things. But they still can do. That's what CEFR is about. It is positive. It is positive. So instill that positivity in our teachers. Yeah, positivity on teachers, so that they also can help. Very importantly, yeah, you need to do that. Input. Input is the language data which learners are exposed to and which should be internalized by our learners, our students, yeah, to become part of their language system. This is when our teachers' command of English is important. Professor said something about, of course, they have to improve their English. It's part of their professional self. They have to. It's like a doctor. It's like a surgeon. They have to know how to, yeah, conduct surgery. Nobody says, oh, no, you don't have to. You can be a surgeon. That's all right. Cut me up. There's no way. So the same with our teachers. Yeah, as all of us, we have to accept that. This is our professional self. This represents our identity as English language teachers. So we do to know. So, and I talk about this data. Data comes from the teacher. Yeah, most important data in the class from the teacher, and of course from other students. But also what we call data, that what we call the uncontrolled data, come from outside. Yeah, from the TV that we watch, the movies that they watch, the documentary and all that. Yeah, this is very important. I remember when I was in a shopping mall and I heard this little boy, he's about 5 years old. His English was superb. I was amazed. So I stopped the parents. I said, did you study in England? And the parent was shocked. They couldn't answer me because they don't speak English. So I said, did you study PhD in England? Because many of my friends studied PhD and their children came back speaking like this. They couldn't answer me. What? She said, no. He watched documentaries. He watched movies. So this data coming in. We need to give to students that data, but we must control the data. We must control. How do we do? And it must be a system. Yeah. So maybe moving forward, that is what you all need to do. What kind of input can be brought in? How do we control it? How does all this kind of input, how all this different input become a coherent input together to give to our students? Yeah, because if they go and access anything, they may not learn much. But if you make sure in the classroom at least, in school at least, you control the input, give them the right input. So that's very important. Yeah. And we are talking about a 5-year-old boy whose parents did not speak English, yet his English was superb. In fact, I stopped and my husband said, why did you do that? I'm just curious because I wanted to know how he learned. How did he learn to speak like that? It's really interesting. Next, to just giving that input is not enough. You need to practice. This is when practice comes in. So you need to maximize the use of English, in an effective and flexible way, so that you look at both production and interaction. And people talk about, having fun in the classroom. Yes, having fun sounds like, having fun. But you see, one thing about learning is that when you have fun, you want to learn. You look forward to going to school. Do you know what I'm trying to say? When children say, oh my goodness, I look forward to my English class. Why? You're having fun. So because language is something that you learn not by memorizing. Of course, you can memorize certain structures, of course. Yeah, there are students who have done that. But by using it, by communicating with others, and you make mistakes, so what? Having that kind of, it's okay, but I need to learn. That kind of positive attitude towards interaction, towards production. Yeah, we have to have that. So how do we do this? Yeah, it is for you all to move forward, to think about this. This is what we mean by sustainability. It is not something to add on to whatever we have. It is something to improve. Because when you overcrowded your curriculum, quality is affected. So you look back, see what else needs to be done. You already have that. How do we give to our students? How do we plan this practice? How do you do that in the classroom? We need to train our teachers. How do you provide good data? Yeah, that's good. So, and during interaction, very important for them to have because during interaction, our students make effort to generate comprehensible output. They generate the output, which becomes data for other children. This is what we need. So they produce data, and their friends, receive that data, and they have to again reply. So their friends' response become data for us. So that's why interaction is core in learning a language. Yeah. So that's also need to be done. Yeah. How are we going to do that? You all are expert in this. How do you do that? How do you plan for this? That is sustainability. That is what we need to do to make sure that our students can do this in the classroom. And engage with the English outside the class, your HIP. You need to link HIP with what happened in the classroom. So far, you have it out there. Yes, very good. And because I've been to HIP, I saw, because when I was there, I always went to see HIP students performing, and it really touched my heart because they tried their best, even the students who are not so good. They just love it. They think they did well. So of course we give them a clap. They did well for being on the stage. But more importantly, this is where during this time, during your HIP, do you still call it HIP? Yes. The focus is on communication. It doesn't matter whether they speak correct English, because correct English is a C1 level and C2 level. A2 can never produce correct English. If not, they will not be A2. Yeah, so you must remember that. It is a C1, C2 level, not A2. So the A2, let them talk, let them speak. The focus on communication. Teamwork, that's more important. How they work together in a team and develop what we call human relations. Human relations core to any interaction. Because sometimes, you know, I was struck by what someone said. And I know someone, a Chinese friend of mine, whose English is quite bad. But he's got kindergarten teaching English. And I said, oh dear, how did it happen? But this person has communicative ability. He's able to communicate with anyone, even with me. See what I mean? So it doesn't mean that when your English is not good, you can't communicate. Well, of course, we want to improve our students' communicate level so that they, you know, they be more confident themselves. So this HIP, go on, continue with this, but you need to link with formal learning in the classroom. Yeah, okay. And again, you all have available resources. Make sure that the teachers know about these available resources. Maybe you want to come up with a little book, give to schools. Maybe ask them some question. Have you got these materials? You know, that kind of question, kind of quizzes. We used to give, yeah, Prof. Azita, we give our students quizzes, and maybe give quizzes to our teachers, asking them whether they know about this, about that, just to make sure that they know that these things are available. Sometimes they are available, but they don't know. How do we have access? This is what I call accessibility to material. You've got materials out there. Are they accessible? Do they know they are out there? What materials are out there? So all this need to be done. So very important. That's teach students. Oh my goodness, we have teachers. Yeah, I go quickly about teachers. So that's students. Yeah. So again, this must be holistic. Yeah, it must be a holistic approach. Okay, we don't have much time for that. But teachers' proficiency. I'm talking about a three-pronged approach for teachers. Sorry for this. Three-pronged approach to support teachers' language need. You all have that already. It's not something new. But put this in place and make it coherent. Yeah, and present it in a way that people can, oh, wow, okay. Number one, professional development, which Professor mentioned just now. Now we're talking about language improvement programs. It's not just any professional, it's language improvement program for teachers to improve their English language. Yeah, and we have the general English proficiency because they've got to have that. They have to go. So this kind of program, we have two parts. First, the general English proficiency, we have to have that because we set C1 as a target. Do you still set C1 as target? Yeah. Yeah, so we set C1, so we have to expose them to, and general proficiency is not easy to get, yeah? I mean, for people to improve the general proficiency, but that doesn't matter. We can do that because you all have the materials. We need to still work towards that. And again, do a buy-in so that they believe in this. They believe in it because their data is input for our students. That's very important. More importantly, I think, is the English for teaching. This is mentioned in the report as well. English for teaching in class. This is a specialized kind of English where you teach teachers instruction, yeah, the language for instruction, yeah. So this is what we call specific language enabled to carry out classroom instruction, yeah, and management and other interactions with their students in order to scaffold learning on daily basis. So they have to scaffold, yeah, because their students may not. They have to have their students, so scaffolding must be there. But this is very important for our teachers. So please look at that, the EFT. The general proficiency is very important for them to get C1, but English for teaching is important in the classroom. When they direct the student, they give instructions, they manage the classes, and they help the students to improve their English. This is very important. And that is, how do you put this together? Make sure that these two support each other, yeah, for the way forward. So very importantly, teachers should be given adequate time, yeah, to attend these courses. Yeah, they shouldn't feel guilty about going for this. Okay, they shouldn't feel guilty because this is part of professional development. If we improve their English, then they can help our students. Okay, so all this, that's professional development in terms of language proficiency. Yeah. Then you have said you've got materials. We need to make sure that teachers, we provide the means for teachers to learn independently. Put yours across as independent learning. Don't just put resources. Couch it as independent learning. So, okay, just now targeted learning, you have your program. Now you have independent learning for teachers to access all the materials that you have. Okay, the material you have. What material you have? Have this on record. What do you have? Okay. Now you also need to have an English language expert where teachers can just access. If they have a problem, this is, like, for, that suicide cases, yeah, emergency cases where people can just call in and get help. You should have that. Yeah, you should have that. What we call this access to English language experts who can give support in this way. If you can't, you can say, oh, wait, we will ask our other expert. Do you see what I mean? You don't have to say you know all the time. Yeah, or you can refer to resources. So have that. Access to English language experts to get advice how to improve their proficiency and on the language itself, about the English language itself. Access to online teacher support learning materials. They must know what they are, for what purpose. So what you have ready, you need to categorize them. For what purpose? This is for what, that is for what. Okay, and for which level. All right. And also CEFR aligned curriculum, you have that already, but teachers need to be taught how to turn this into lesson plan which can be adapted. So I think adaptation of this already available materials, I think you need to have that as part of professional development, which Puan Farah mentioned, you all have these materials, but how do you put them together? How do you use this as part of professional development of our teachers? Yeah, adaptation of the available curriculum, yeah? And again, those who have gone for training, please, because we are talking about us in a community. So we must encourage those who have gone for training to train others in school, to give materials to others. So whatever material they have from the training, they have to share. Yeah, they have to share. So that's part of the whole thing, because this will increase what I call create what they call the support, and that it's nice to know other people help us, and that we are not alone. I think the problem with us is that we think we are alone. When we think we are alone, we tend to be sad and depressed. But if we think, oh yeah, there is a community there, there's English experts somewhere, there are, what do you call that, online access, you have online access as well. And you also have, not just for improving their English, but also for curriculum. Because when they do their curriculum, this is what you call indirect input. So when they redo the curriculum, so we don't look just at the formal learning. While they're doing their own lesson plans using the curriculum, they also have indirect input. They themselves input. So that's very important. When they access all the materials, they have what we call indirect input. And indirect input is sometimes core to learning, because you know more. Because how many hours of teaching can you have? How many hours of programs can you have? Yeah, you can't. So, but teaching them how to do that, be an active learner, be an independent learner, access all the materials you have. And finally, you mentioned something about, I think Prof. Azita mentioned about this, you are creating an online community, close online community. We don't want other people to come in as well, because there are certain things we want to keep to ourselves, in the sense of, because sometimes it's quite normal when we have problems, we need to talk to people, but you don't want other people to know, especially teachers. Yeah, so we want to have, this is what we call a closed online community where teachers can connect. This is what we call connect. Yeah. So they need to connect with each other online, because we can't be traveling here and there. Okay, so online. So to share best practice and to create what we call network between schools, sekolah di kampung, yeah, in the rural areas, pendalaman, if we can. So you can adopt school. Think of adopting school. Good school, adopt other schools. So think of that. Not just adopting students, adopting school, so that you work together as a community of practice. Yeah. So this is, to me, the roadmap and whatever is a beginning. Infrastructure is beginning of things. And I think if we collaborate together and we work as a team, we can improve teachers' professional lives. And when we improve their professional, we also improve their proficiency. Okay, so in this close community, they can communicate, they can interact with others. Okay, and they can seek support and guidance for others. So you have your expert, which is formal. This is informal. They can seek support from others and seek guidance from others. And they can also provide support, not just seek. They themselves can provide support and guidance so that they can work with colleagues across the country. This is why we call it closed online community. Explore that possibility. Yeah, because what we need is positivity. We do need a lot of positivity. And if our teachers know that we actually care, that we actually listen, yeah, let them know that, because they don't know that we actually care. All right. So I end that with, yeah, listen with empathy. And thank you again for giving me this space to talk, Dr. Mindy. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Prof. Zu. Thank you for highlighting the central role that the classroom plays when it comes to teaching and learning for students. And thank you also for highlighting that the learning experiences in the classroom are very important, and teachers need to consider all these inputs that are brought in both by them as well as by students, and how to then use this input towards the betterment and the positive learning of English language in the classroom in order to engage students in learning the language. And for teachers, the importance of professional development, peer support, and to make available targeted programs, which we are already making available, and also independent programs. We now have our training platform, which is improved, and I think teachers out there know about this platform. There are a lot of structured training as well as continuous self-training that teachers themselves can go in, access, do it in their own time, at their own pace, and achieve e-certificates. So we truly welcome all teachers to go on board and continue to develop your professional selves and to continuously have a positive mindset. As you said, Prof, we have started the journey and we need to go strong, we need to go steady, and we must reach the end. So we must have a positive mindset. To all the teachers out there, the ELTC is always there. We also have the Bahagian Pembangunan Curriculum, and also the BSTP, and also the other divisions who are always there to help you. So teachers, if you need any help, the ELTC website, we have all the channels where you can type, where you can write into or email in order for us to assist you. Because we are here to hear, and we want you all to be on board. We want to be on board with you as well in order for us to achieve the goals that we are setting now and even beyond 2025. Thank you. Thank you so much, Prof. So we have one last question for the session, and this one is for Puan Farah, Director of ELTC. Puan Farah, maybe we would like to hear from you what will probably happen after 2025 when the roadmap comes to a cycle of completion, but we must move on. And as a leading provider of ELT training, both in the country as well as regional, what will be the future role and the future plans of ELTC post the roadmap? Farah.
Oh, that is a very intriguing question, Dr. Mindy. What will be the role of ELTC be beyond to 2025 or beyond the roadmap? So that's a very interesting question. So we are now in the third wave, right? 2021 to 2025 of the Malaysian Education Blueprint or Plan Pembangunan Pendidikan Malaysia, 2013 to 2025. Thus, in the third wave, two phases of sustainability plan or Plan Kelestarian are developed to continuously monitor and sustain the implementation of the revised curriculum. So we start with phase one. It started in 2021 until 2022, where all the activities in the curriculum and the roadmap were rigorously monitored. Okay, then we now are at phase two, which will be starting in 2023 until 2025, where the effectiveness of the English language transformation plan is further sustained based on the findings from the 2023 impact study. So this is very interesting. The data from the 2023 impact study will be very useful for us to do evaluation, to enhance and improve the implementation of the curriculum, to ensure the objectives of the roadmap are achieved. Surely all this cannot be done in silo. So ELTC will work closely, as mentioned by Prof. Zhu just now, to work closely with the relevant divisions, namely BPK, Lembaga Peperiksaan, the School Inspectorate or Jemaah Nazir, just to name a few. Also public universities and ELT experts to conduct the nationwide impact study. Effective collaboration among the divisions in the ministry, strategic partnerships with the public and private sectors, and mutual understanding with other ministries are crucial in ensuring the education transformation plan is meticulously implemented and sustained. As the leading provider of ELT training in the region, ELTC also needs to constantly evolve in developing relevant English language programs through multiple new methodologies and innovative strategies. So in short, our pedagogies should be dynamic to meet the demands of the future. With the strong and continuous support from the divisions in the ministry and also IPGM, not forgetting the unwavering commitment and dedication from the talented workforce in the institution, I am confident that ELTC will be able to sustain the objectives and activities in the roadmap beyond 2025. And to me, and I believe, as what Prof. Zhu and Prof. Hazita has mentioned, we must keep on improving, improve, and improve. Thank you, Dr. Mindy.
Thank you so much, Puan Farah, for the wonderful sharing that you just did. So we need to work together. The idea of coherence is being brought up again and again by all three panel speakers today. The need to look and hear towards teachers, the need to understand students, the need to improve our environment and to ensure that all levels of support, including technology, is there for teachers, to be made available, all the necessary resources for us to work together towards an aim, which is improving the English language education system within the nation. And ladies and gentlemen, so with this, we have come to the end of today's webinar, and I thank all the three speakers for your wonderful sharing and for the deep insights that you have given. And we believe that all these ideas can be picked up at every level, at the central level, state, district, as well as all teachers who are listening to us today, for us to reflect back, to see our journey, to understand where we are, and to shape the future of where we would like to move to. And because we have moved into the final wave of the roadmap and towards a post-roadmap, we have to continuously ensure that all that we have implemented thus far is sustained. As Prof mentioned, sustaining is growing stronger. And this can be done through close monitoring, to reviews, to dialogues that are taking place, to sharing, look at our goals, look at our gaps and how we improve these gaps at all levels of the education. Continuous efforts also need to be made to bring in new trends in training. As the world evolves, as technology evolves, lots and lots of new trends that are hooked onto technology are coming in. New pedagogies that look towards inquiry-based learning, mastery-based learning, problem-based learning are coming in. So we need to move with current trends in ELT education and not forgetting the roles that need to be played by everyone involved in teaching and learning of English from the grassroots to the central management. We all must play our roles well. And to end it, as mentioned by H.E. Luko, no one can whistle a symphony. It takes a whole orchestra to play it. With that, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you, and we have come to the end of this webinar today.